the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, here back with another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Medicom Toys Batman Hush Poison Ivy action figure, and this is going to be the last of the line for this year, but we do still have two other figures up for pre-order, showcasing that they are not kidding around with this line, that being Riddler and of course Scarecrow. So I'm super excited for this line. I've been all in since the start. Now anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this figure, starting off with the sexy packaging. Now, for pretty much all of the boxes, they did go with this blue theme, except for on the Batman Hush black suit version. For whatever reason, they decided to go with a brown. But again, all the rest of them have had this exact color palette. You can see the lighter blue, the darker blue, some shading in there. You got windows and things where you can see the figure and the accessories. Images all along the sides. It says Poison Ivy, Mafex, or Medicom toy. You got an image of her right here. Some stuff at the bottom no one cares about. Image right there. Then on this side, you got the full body image, which I love. Then, of course, on the back, you got the figure, some of the accessories, and you got Superman right there, and then some more stuff at the bottom that does not matter. Now, anyway, let's go ahead and bust this figure out of the packaging because I'm happy to be adding another villain to my Batman collection. Now, straight out of the packaging, here is more than likely the most articulated Poison Ivy action figure we are ever going to get. And if not ever, definitely for a while, because I don't see any other company competing with this. And I gotta say, man, this is one of those figures that is just a joy to add to your collection, especially if you've been collecting the Batman Hush line already. Now, these figures, the females especially, definitely leave a little bit to be desired because it seems like Mafex almost like censors these figures. Now, what I mean by that is they're very lackluster in the curvature, and sometimes the way that they're sculpted and engineered, it's just not how they were designed in the comics. So it just looks like they're a little bit slim, slender, and missing what makes some people enjoy these female characters. Now, it's not to be weird or anything like that, but it's just something that I have noticed when it comes to this line. It definitely feels like they're skipping out on some of the aesthetics that should be included. But other than that, I mean, they're doing a great job mass producing these figures, and just like the others, she looks great. It does seem like she's very simple in comparison to the other figures, but again, that has a lot to do with her design and in the fact that she's not really wearing much. So it's just a figure that's basically a body with a one piece attached to it. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a closer look at her so we can examine some of the details. Now, Poison Ivy is one of those characters where it really depends on how her character is written and her design on whether I actually enjoy her in whatever comic I'm reading or whatever movie that I'm watching. Now, one thing I do want to say is that Jim Lee did such a good job with the design for her. I love this green. I know some people like her regular skin tone. I am fine with this green, and I love the color that Mafex used in order to paint this figure. It just looks so dang good, man. This figure captures light very well, but it almost makes it look like her skin is glowing. As weird as that is, I don't know how to explain it, but it just looks like she has a glow to her in comparison to other figures. I love the Rapunzel-esque hair. The sculpt work and detail is so nice on this. I love how it's wavy, even though I do wish we would have got one where it's just kind of sitting. It's always going to look like it's blowing in the wind, so that's one thing. When it comes to the little bit of outfit that she has, as you can see, it's just like a green one piece with some leaves around the edges, and I think that's fine. It is accurate, so I'm not going to complain about that. She does have some leaves attached to her gloves as well, which what's the point in that? I don't know what it's for. She could have just had her hands bare because it's not like they're protecting anything. And then just straight legs, man. Again, like it truly feels like they're leaving out the curves and everything, man. These legs just are not appealing, and I don't mean that again in a weird way. It's just, we know how comic characters are drawn, male and female. Like, they really want to capture certain things when it comes to the characters, and it just feel like they just sculpted this figure almost flat. And no, I'm not talking about the backside. But anyway, off of that, down to the feet, she's got on these green shoes that kind of resemble slippers. And then they've got some leaves around the trimming of them as well. And that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot going on with this figure. Most of the detail is going to come out of the face. I really love the way they painted the eyes, the green lipstick. Just that smirk on her face looks really good. And I also love all the extra paint and detail they added into the hair. All of it looks nice, man. But the rest of the figure just, it's a little flat. It's not bad, but they definitely could have added some shading. I don't think they've done that on any of the rest of their figures, so it's not like I was expecting it. But when it comes to these figures, they run about $60 to $80 a piece. I really hope at some point they start to add a little bit more detail, especially on characters like this, which leave a lot to be desired. Anyway, let's go ahead and put her back so we can see how tall she stands. Now, when it comes to the height on this figure, she definitely feels very tall because her legs are extremely lanky and her arms actually look a bit long. I think that's probably a good proportion for her, but it still looks like they're long. Anyway, to the top of her head, as you can see, she's just shy of 6 inches, a little bit over 5.5, which is fine because I think the Batman figures do exceed that 6-inch mark. But of course, we'll be doing some size comparisons a little bit later. When it comes to the articulation, she looks up about that much, looks down only about that much. She does get really good tilt, turn, rocker, all that good stuff. You can make her be very expressive. Arms go up and out very well. Let's see, I think they go further than that. Actually, no, that's about all that you're going to get, which I think that's fine. They can come all the way in, no problem. She can get the swimming poses if she's going to go dive in water or whatever. I don't know why she would do that. I'm just saying. The Michael Phelps pose, that's what we're going to call that from now on. When you can bring the arms in this much on the Animated Heroes reviews, we're going to call that the Michael Phelps. There we go. Or the Kamehameha, but we're going to go with Michael Phelps. Anyway, she does have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, a bit tight. Be careful with those. Hands are on a hinge. That's very effective. You can move those around just fine. At the diaphragm here, as you guys can see, she does get pretty good rocker. She leans back about that much, up about that much, side to side, no problem. And one thing that's good, she doesn't have any gapping in there when you lean her back. And then you can make it go even further if you utilize the waist. And that's vice versa, going forward and back. So that's really good. She does swivel right here. So she can get in those really good articulated poses. Not that she does, but it does work. Oh, that's more than I was expecting. You guys see, I froze for a second. So the crotch piece right here is a soft plastic. And as you can see, she can ballerina, no problem. And the legs are on the drop down in case you're wondering. She does do the splits just fine. Built-in thigh swivel, double jointed knees. Foot goes down about that much, up about that much. Does have really good ankle rocker. And then she does have a, ooh, wasn't expecting that to come off. But okay. That was weird. But yeah, she does also have a stiff toe hinge. I'm going to put that in some hot water. Let's try this other one real quick. Okay, this one works a little bit better. It's still not the best articulation-wise, but it does work. So it is there. You can get her in some really crazy martial arts poses if you wanted to. I mean, again, she doesn't really fight, but you want to get her like kicking the crap out of somebody. Let's back the camera up a little bit. It's not going to be a problem. Like, she can really throw down if you want her to. So yeah, I dig this a whole lot. Now, granted, this is nothing new with Mafex, but man, it's always good. It's always a pleasure to have. I do want to say, though, be careful with the elbows. I don't think they're meant to bend all the way in. I would say I'm probably not going to push mine past this point because it starts to feel like you're forcing it. So yeah, just be wary of that. Now, when it comes to accessories, you actually get quite a few with her, but I feel like the way they went about the accessories was kind of weird, and I'll tell you guys why in just a second. Now, first off, she comes straight out of the packaging with a neutral head sculpt where she's kind of smiling, kind of looking serious, and then she has a pair of relaxed hands. She comes with a pair of fist hands. She comes with a pair of like palm out-ish type hands. Then she comes with a pair of hands for when she's holding on to the briefcase. Now, this is kind of weird because she's got like the pinky and the index finger up on one, and then she has the finger that's next to the middle finger up on the other. I don't know what that one is for, but yeah, very weird choice. I'm sure it came from a panel from the comic. I just don't remember it. Then she comes with a hand for holding a wad of money. You can actually take the money out of her hand. I just had it attached just to show you guys. But yeah, this is definitely a prop for any figure you want to use it for. Now, speaking of money, she comes with a briefcase, one where it's open and you can actually see there's a ton of money in there, and then she comes with one for when it's closed as well. Would have been cool if it was just one that could open and close, but whatever. I mean, you can't go wrong with more accessories. Anyway, she comes with another head sculpt where it looks like she's kind of smirking on this one, and so I don't know, I guess this would, the one that's on her, be considered more neutral, and this one where she's kind of happy. I would have loved to get like a teeth gritted face or something, because she's always angry at Batman for foiling her plan. So yeah. Anyway, she comes with a ton of like vine accessories. She comes with this one, which is supposed to be used for her necklace. She comes with these two right here, which are supposed to go over her bicep. These go over her lower arms, and then you have these which go over her upper thigh, and then you have these which are attached to the lower part of her legs. Now, it's cool to have all of these, but at the same time, this is part of her design in the comic, so I don't know why they didn't just sculpt them onto her and paint them. I think it would have made the figure look a little bit better to have non-detachable vines. I mean, because the ones that come with Superman, he already has, which I'll show those in just a second. But I don't know. It's just like, why not sculpt it on the figure? And the main reason I say that is because I'm a little bit afraid that they might cause a tad bit of paint rubbing over time. And so with her being as basically lit of a figure as she is, when the light hits her, any kind of markings from or other paint that rubs up on her is going to be very, very noticeable. So I'll probably put them on and leave them on. I just think it was a weird choice for them to make, but I mean, whatever. If you want to put them on other figures, you could totally do that. But again, Superman came with his own, so if you wanted to attach him to, let's say, a Robin or a Nightwing, the option is still there. So for anyone wanting to see her with the vines attached to her, here she is here. And I gotta say, they look good. It definitely makes the figure look a whole lot better. But at the same time, it does create more problems than I realized. One thing I didn't think about was the fact that when you're posing the figure up and trying to get it in a select pose, these things are going to slide up, they're going to slide down, they're going to fall off. Some of them are going to look loose, and I get it. Maybe that's the reason that they did it, but I would much rather the vines just be sculpted on and be skin tight to her, because it just saves that problem of them falling all over the place and maybe not looking the way you want them to whenever you're posing it up or taking shots, whatever you do with your figures. Now, here are also the ones that come with Superman. As you can see, I have those attached to him, and they are a bit of a more saturated greenish color. They're not the same at all. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but the colors are almost completely different. You can just tell that they tried to go with a green, but it's not the same. And I don't know, man. I really don't like the way that they went about the accessories for Poison Ivy. For Superman, it's fine because you don't want them on him all the time. Poison Ivy, these are a part of her costume. And if they did this because they want you to be able to attach these to other figures, they should have sculpted her with the vines that she already has, or leaves, whatever, and then just included some extras. I mean, it's a $70 figure. The budget was there for them to do it. So I don't know, man. It can get really annoying. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is problematic, meaning that I had to mention it. Moving on to size comparisons, here she is standing next to the very first release Batman Hush, which still holds up as the best 6-inch Batman in my opinion. We also have her standing next to the Medicom toy Superman Hush, which is still the best 6-inch Superman in my opinion. And then of course the Medicom toy Nightwing, which is undoubtedly, unarguable, the best Nightwing 6-inch figure to date. Next up, here she is standing next to the Medicom Toys Gotham City Sirens. We have Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and then we also have Huntress to the far right. I gotta say, man, I am truly loving these female characters from the Batman Hush line, but I do gotta say, Poison Ivy is easily the weakest out of all four of these figures. I'm sorry, but it's just, she's not keeping up. She looks great, but in comparison, it's just not there. Lastly, for another batch of Medicom toys, we have her standing next to the Mafex Batman Hush Hush, the Mafex Batman Hush Joker, and then the Mafex Batman The Dark Knight Returns Batman. I don't remember which one this is, but it's from the 2-pack with Batman and Carrie Kelly, which this is a solid Batman figure if you don't have it. I said Batman a lot. It's a Batman video. Get this Batman. Lastly, for some unrelated extras, here she is standing next to an SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super CGI Goku, a Figma Jujutsu Kaisen Greatness Yuji Itadori, and a Marvel Legends Final Swing Suit Spider-Man. Now, when it comes to my final thoughts on this figure, I gotta say, no matter how you look at it, this is a figure that is well worth adding to your collection. If you're a fan of the character Poison Ivy, or if you're just a fan of the Batman lore in general and you have a Batman collection, because it doesn't matter which Batman line you throw it into. If you don't have the Hush figures, this is one you can still wedge in with pretty much any comic book Batman as long as it scales alongside her, just because for the most part, Poison Ivy's look is very consistent. I mean, ever so often, the hair will be a bit more red, the skin tone will be darker or lighter, and then maybe she'll have less vines on her. But other than that, I mean, everything just about stays the same, and that's pretty much with all the characters. Harley Quinn's usually in red and black. Ever so often, you'll get the blue and black, and then when it comes to Joker, you're always going to get the purple suit. So it's a good figure to have in your collection. Now, granted, it does have the problems I mentioned. Most of the time, the vines aren't too bad once you've got her in a pose. Now, other than that, when you're posing her around or you're trying to interchange the hands, they get annoying. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. They do get very annoying. And one issue I didn't mention was the fact that she's also not flat-footed like the rest of the figures, meaning that from time to time, she'll kind of tip over if you're not paying attention when you pose her around. You have to make sure that she is in a pose where she's not going to tilt. Otherwise, eventually, she's just going to fall over. Now, other than that, I don't have any issues with this figure. I think it looks great. It's still fun to have. You don't really have to do anything dynamic with it when it comes to posing Poison Ivy, but she is able to do so, and that's another thing that just makes this figure enjoyable. I do wish they would have threw in an angry head or a yelling head, teeth gritted face. Again, Batman is always foiling her plans. Her plants are always getting destroyed, and so that's part of the character of Poison Ivy. She's always angry when the plants are getting destroyed, so it would have been cool to have something like that. Maybe we'll get it with another figure, but that's something I see being completely unlikely. But overall, it's a good figure. I definitely rated at least we'll say a 7 out of 10. And the only reason I go that low is because I just feel like they're really skipping out on the curvature for these figures. I'm not going to censor it anymore. Like, they are truly just screwing up when it comes to the proportions of these female figures. They look like tall, lanky dudes, man. When it comes to the build, obviously they're not looking like dudes, but it's just the builds on these figures are kind of whack, man. I really wish that they would change them up just a little bit. Add some more thighs, add some more bust to them. It's how they're drawn. It's not like I'm being weird asking for something to be completely accurate to the source material. And you guys can say whatever y'all want in the comments. I know there's going to be some people joking around, but it is what it is, man. I'm being honest, man. I don't like it. It's just, I don't like when they don't stick to the source. Anyway, moving on. It's a good figure. Pick it up. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. And last but not least, follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep up with my activity outside of YouTube. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye.